Good morning. Did not post the video from yesterday because I was just too upset. I had this Raspberry Pi. There's a Raspberry Pi touchscreen. It's like, I guess, somewhat official. Technically, it's made by Element 14 or designed by Element 14. But the touchscreen is pretty good. Resolution's not great, but it's pretty good. I was kind of designed for the Raspberry Pi, and it has a mounting bracket on the back of it for the Raspberry Pi. And the problem I had with it was there's a bunch of wasted space. Because if you've seen this, the Raspberry Pis, if you put in Raspberry Pi 7-inch touchscreen, you'll be able to find exactly the screen, and you'll be able to see how the Raspberry Pi is mounted to it. The problem I had with this was that it just sticks out too far. It's gigantic. It's huge. And there's a lot of wasted space in there. And at first I was trying to figure out how to put a battery in there, and then I was trying to figure out how I could get it even lower. And I realized that if I inverted it and then mounted it offset, that it would be very low. But I wasn't sure about that mounting. So just to try stuff, I flipped it over completely. Like, imagine mounting it perfectly as instructed on the instructions. Not gonna get mad. And then you undo the screws, you move it over, and then flip it. And when you flip it, it fits perfectly. It fits like it was designed to be there. So I was very upset because this was the correct way to mount it. This was the way that it was designed to be mounted. However, I had never seen anyone or any makers, anyone that was working on this project trying to make a nice Raspberry Pi laptop. I'd never seen anyone mount it like that. So I was pretty frustrated that in 30 minutes I figured out something that supposedly other people are trying to do but never actually figured out, or never tried to figure out, or never accomplished. I don't know. So after I kind of cooled off, I got to work and I looked around online. I really wanted to find someone else who had done it. And I found 2 references to people who had done this. Every other one has mounted it the manufacturer approved way, I should say. And I even talked to one of the engineers at work about it, because I'm no electrical engineer, and he's like, maybe there's like a digital ground versus chassis ground problem, maybe, but if you put some electrical tape, that's not a problem anymore. So, like, there's no electrical reason why it should not be mounted this way. If you want to make a case for it, like a wraparound case, or, plastic mold, or print a case or something like that, it does make very tight clearances, but technically you can mitigate that with some slightly longer standoffs. Also, the standoffs that it comes with are definitely cut to the length so that it fits this way, this inverted manner. So why on earth would the manufacturer say, here's our new product, here's the Raspberry Pi, it's mounted and it sticks super far off the back? I didn't understand it. I only have a few ideas, but they're all hearsay, really. I did find some reference to someone who worked at Raspberry Pi saying that is how it was designed originally. So I don't know if it was an accident and they already, shot the molds for that case, and they were like, well, whoops. Those molds are expensive, hundreds of thousands of dollars. So I don't know. But the fact remains that people have been trying to get these Raspberry Pi board or tablets to be shorter and thinner, and only 2 that I know of have done this. Everyone else is just building around it, or they're taking it off the brackets and they're mounting it offset, at another angle, in another corner, that kind of thing. So, I don't know. the fact remains, it's like, what can we learn from this is what I'm interested in. You know, what is the takeaway? The takeaway to me is, first of all, just try stuff. If you would have told me that when I buy this Element 14 screen, capacitive screen, that's 800 by 600, and I was like, I didn't know why I was picking that up. It was like, hey, you should get that. I'm like, okay, I don't know what I'm going to do with it. But if you would have told me that I would have figured out a new mounting method that very few people, that only 2 other people have tried for the Raspberry Pi official hardware on the Raspberry Pi official touchscreen, I don't know what I would have said. I don't know. It's ridiculous. I'm testing it right now with the battery backup, but the way it's mounted, it has plenty of room for. It's like perfectly oriented to drop a 6,000 milliamp hour battery set. Those triple cylinders, those lipos, that would drop right in there. It's perfect. I don't know. The lessons, the takeaways are, try stuff. Just try stuff. You know, don't assume that since a multi-million-dollar foundation is trying to put together stuff and trying to sell their product all over the world, and they have, you know, other, I guess, partner companies designing things for it, that they're going to, like, take 30 minutes and try to fit it all together. I don't think I'm that smart. I know I'm pretty smart, but I'm not like, I don't think I'm a genius. I can still talk to people. That's usually a problem with geniuses. I don't think I'm that smart. I've probably just got, you know, good instincts, or a good gut sense, or I listen to the still small voice. I don't know. I just keep doing stuff other people haven't done. Now the keyboard thing, that's, no one's done that, and that was really me messing around and just trying and iterating. That was just brute force. But this, I'm testing it out with a battery backup right now, but it'll fit. Yeah, it'll fit that LiPo pretty nicely. I'm testing it with a 5,000 milliamp hour battery pack to see how long it lasts and how it does in the transition and, you know, all that good stuff. It's just, it was extremely disappointing. I don't know. It would be like if you were a scientist working on a problem that hasn't been solved in hundreds of years, and you're like, all right, you know, I'm sure everyone's tried this, but I'm just gonna sit down and we'll just give it a shot, you know, and then you figure it out in a day, and you don't even know if you want to publish the results, because the fact that you figured it out in a day means that, first of all, you're probably the only one working on it, which is disheartening in a way, because you're interested in it. You were interested in it enough to try. So you feel kind of isolated from that. Either that, or you're a genius and you figured it out, and all these other people have not figured it out, and it's a syllogism. You can't escape it. If this, then that. You might be smarter than all of those people, and that in itself is isolating. I don't think I'm smarter than them. That seems really it seems really unlikely. That's the point. I didn't do anything special. This is a dumb. So that's the thing. Don't assume. Just try stuff. Just try stuff. I'm gonna write a book called Just Try Stuff. I'm not gonna write a book. That's not gonna happen. I'll write a short story. And I won't finish that one either. So, one of the other things was, in order for you to do this mod, I guess, in order for it to mount that way with the provided hardware, you have to bend 2 of the pins. And maybe people weren't willing to bend the pins, perhaps? So here it is. You see how the Raspberry Pi is mounted like that. That's not the way it's meant to be mounted. I don't know. Is it meant to be mounted that way? I am fairly certain the design was made for this mounting orientation. Why they abandoned it, I have no idea. That's part of why I'm testing. I want to figure out if something goes horribly wrong, or if it, bursts into flames or shorts out. No problems. It's been running for dozens of hours. Very strange. So, this plus a little charging circuit, and I mean, you don't even have to, this is like straight out of the box hardware. I haven't done anything. The only thing I did was take that Adafruit bottom plastic case, which I think are $2.99 or something like that, and since it has snaps on it, you can mount it on the bottom of the Raspberry Pi. However, the bolt, or the mounting holes, sit in these posts. So if you cut out those posts, you can just use the snaps and snap it onto the back of the Raspberry Pi, or the bottom circuit board of the Raspberry Pi. But then it's a bit tall, so you have to cut around the edges a bit, shorten it. But once you do that, you've got it's not a tablet because it doesn't have the battery yet, but Anker makes a battery pack which has almost precisely the dimensions required to fit on the opposite side of the Raspberry Pi. That is 0.87 depth. It's perfect. You would need a 90-degree USB plug, to pull that power flat and go the other direction, but it's crazy. I did get a tweet out to that guy, and he acknowledged the tweet. He hasn't responded yet, but the guy that seemed to have worked on this project, or part of the project, and he said that he mounted it that way, and went to his boss, and his boss said something to the effect of, it was originally designed for that. So I don't know if that's the kind of thing that makes me think it was a slightly embarrassing story. But still, the fact remains that of all the makers trying to make these builds flatter, none of them just flipped it around. I mean, again, there was that one guy that worked for it, and there's another guy who did do this. I was going to remember his name. I don't remember it. But I don't know. There's other people working on this, apparently. Apparently. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't know what conclusions I'm supposed to draw from this. Except try stuff, just try stuff. And don't assume. A friend of mine was talking about a new design for something he had, and he said, I don't know, it's probably been done before, there's nothing new under the sun. And I was like, well, technically yes, but that doesn't mean that it was marketed correctly or at the appropriate time, or that, people wanted it at that point. I don't know.